I'm doing good, doing good. It's
That's
better
good.
to talk to you today than it would have been last week or maybe even Monday. So
Oh no,
glad to visit with you today.
there's no doubt about it. I mean, yeah, it's like I told my wife. I said, honey, I'm not sure there'll be a football season, but I'm sure that for the next couple of weeks, I think I'm going to be in a good mood and know that there's a chance for a football season, and
Yeah.
we'll just see how it goes from there. When we opened it up for calls today, they did announce yesterday at Oklahoma State that there will not be tailgating this season.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I am expecting plenty of calls. We have people that come that don't have tickets and tailgate.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
I mean tailgating here is some people, the tailgate is what's more important than the game itself. Now, not many, but there's a
Yeah.
few people out there. I'm pretty convinced, the tailgate is the best part of the day. What I was going to say though is I did talk to a lot of people, John, and tried to figure out what the vote count was. I think it was fairly close. I know they had a 5-5 vote one time earlier in the summer on
Wow.
on
Yeah.
on one of the issues, and they just said, okay, 5-5, but we're going forward. But my understanding was this was pretty close. But what I was going to do was next time you run into President Livingstone, Dr. Livingstone,
Yes.
if you would please say, I talked to one of your classmates at Oklahoma State recently,
Oh
and
wait, y'all
Robert
are
Allen, and
classmates?
yeah, we were in school at the same time. Yeah,
Oh, that's great. Okay, that's good to
yeah,
know.
oh yeah,
That's good
oh
background
yeah,
information. Yeah.
oh yeah, and I saw her on campus a bunch, and of course Brad, her husband.
Yeah.
But say Robert wanted me to tell you a big thumbs up, President.
Okay.
Big thumbs up.
Gotcha. I will do it.
Let's just say this: I'm very secure with the people I've talked to that both Baylor and Oklahoma State were on the right side of the voting on Tuesday night.
Okay. All
So
right. That's good.
that's good.
So you
Um,
think it was close, though? You think the vote was very close?
That's what my sources told me, but I was looking for some confirmation, and Commissioner Bowlesby really didn't want to go there, and that's okay. Um, but yeah, and you know
Which is
what, John?
fair. You can
Yeah,
understand him doing that. Yeah.
it is, but wouldn't you expect it to have been close? I mean, the Big Ten and the Pac-12 shut it down.
Right.
So
Right.
if the Big
Right.
12 had voted 10-0 to go ahead, you're
Right.
kind of looking in that room going, wow, those people are really football crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, I think that what I said this at the top of my show yesterday. I feel for the kids. I feel for the coaches, the players. I feel for the fans. And I used to live in Columbus, Ohio, for a couple of years as a kid, and we went back up there to Columbus a couple of not this summer, last summer before this, to visit Mike Yursich and his wife,
Yeah.
and I wanted to show my wife where I grew up, when I was in Columbus, and that place is rabid. So I feel for all those folks. This is going to be, for some of them, this is going to be the worst fall of their lives. No great tragedy, hopefully, in their families and all that, but losing
Right.
football to people up there, they care about it. It's a big deal. So,
And made
I
worse by the fact that they're not playing, and some other schools and conferences might be playing.
mhm,
That'll
exactly.
compound how they feel. Yeah. So yeah, I feel for them also. I really do.
So in fact, I had Greg Sharp on my show Monday, and yeah, it was actually Tuesday. I had him on early in the day Tuesday. It was Tuesday, and I
Yeah.
mean, you know Greg, he
Oh
voice
yeah.
of the Cornhuskers, yeah, and he was talking about how he thought the coaches' press conferences on Monday had maybe turned the tide, and he was hopeful that the Big Ten was going to keep, keep either kicking the can down the road, or be even a little more uh, confident about playing football. And as it turns out, they shut it down. So, just your thoughts on the Big 12 still being alive with football?
Well, I'm glad, number one, and I don't mean that to sound trite in any way, because I really feel like that they did things the right way and they didn't make this decision lightly. They didn't just say, health be damned, we're going to play football. It was not that. It was the opposite of that. And Mac will say this Mac Rhodes, our athletic director, will say at every interview that the health, safety, and the welfare of our student athletes are number one. That's the number one priority. And I feel like that the Big 12 went about things the right way and still came to the conclusion that we can play. There is a path to play football. So I don't want it to sound like, I don't want it to sound like football is the only thing. It's not. The health is number one thing. But to find a way to play, I think, is great. And it's been a real you can just feel the mood lift here in Waco when that announcement came.
No, it was definitely the same way here and throughout the state of Oklahoma. And I said this too yesterday. I understand what the Big Ten and the Pac-12 did, and it may have to be done here later
Sure.
on.
Yeah.
I hope not, but I do believe this that that the people the Big 12 are talking to. I've kind of looked into uh, those doctors from Duke that are involved in epidemiology, and then the Mayo Clinic. I think the Big 12 has some really good medical advice, and that includes within its own ranks. I don't know all the team doctors around the conference, but I know Dr. Ivan, our team doctor, is very complimentary of the other medical staffs. We do know who the OU medical staff is, and OU has a med school. Oklahoma State has a med school, so both have doctors from their own medical schools that are involved in this. And I know how involved Baylor is in medicine. So I'm going to guess there's some pretty smart doctors
Yeah.
that are involved in the Baylor group. So yeah, I think the Big 12's getting the right advice.
And those are a lot of smart people, lot smarter than I am, making making the decision or helping make the decision, giving the input, so that the president and the commissioner can make the decision. So, I don't say this just because the result was, hey, we are playing football, but I say this that I have faith in those people and their input and their knowledge. And, so I feel really good about moving forward. I think, they've got a lot of information, and with all that information, they feel comfortable moving forward and playing this fall.
Let's transition to football. And has Baylor come out with any? I did. I looked at their season ticket or their ticket policy, but have they come out with any definitive amount of fans that they're going to let in McLean Stadium?
I think, and for right now, it's going to be 25%. What about you guys?
Oklahoma State is going to be roughly 25 to 30%, and that will not count the suites. The suites will be counted
Okay.
separately.
Okay.
I think they're going to let, because that's controlled by the people who own the suites, and I think they're going to let them decide how many tickets and how many people they want in each
I got
suite.
you.
One of the things that they're going to do here almost immediately, it's about to happen, is they're going to reach out to all of the season ticket holders and ask, do you want to go to the games? Because there's going to be a lot
Right.
of people, like we hear players opting out. There'll be fans that will opt out.
Yeah.
And I
True.
understand that. So that's where they are on that. Okay, so that sounds about right. Now,
Yeah, but ours is 25% right now, and watch that and see if that number changes as we get going and get into the fall more.
all right, now how about this? I did the survey this morning of non-conference opponents because a lot of those have changed. And I know it's only a one-game non-conference schedule, but right now in ranking the non-conference schedules, I have Oklahoma State, Kansas State, and Iowa State playing the most difficult non-conference schedules. Iowa State plays Louisiana Lafayette. Kansas State has Arkansas State, and Oklahoma State has Tulsa. And I think
Yep.
those are the three toughest non-conference. How about that? When you come
Yeah,
out and say
that's the toughest.
Tulsa
Well,
is one of the yeah, yeah,
consider our situation here. It's either going to be, and we haven't announced this yet, but our three originally were Ole Miss in Houston, which would have been fun. That went away
right.
when the SEC said they're not playing non-conference games. So then the two remaining were Incarnate Word and Louisiana Tech.
Yeah.
Yes. And so it was going to be one of those. Both those were home games, so it was going to be one of those. And we haven't announced which one it's going to be. But consider our situation with a new head coach who didn't have spring practice, a new staff.
I know what his vote is. I believe he's voting for Incarnate Word.
I kind of know which way it might be leaning. So, and I can understand that. And I think a lot of other schools are kind of thinking that same way just because it's been such an abnormal spring and summer.
Yeah. Yeah. Oklahoma State and Tulsa are tied together. They have 12 games scheduled over the next some odd, years. And it made all the sense in the world for Oklahoma State to go ahead and keep the game with Tulsa because they are so aligned with each other in scheduling in the future. In fact, I mean, if we can get it that way, I think that Chad Weiberg, our deputy athletic director, would like to have Tulsa and Arkansas on the schedule every year in non-conference and then just float the third game. So, I really would like to play Arkansas right now. And as long as they continue to play the way they've been playing, I would like to keep Arkansas on the schedule.
So, yeah, I'm sure you would. Sure.
I don't want them to get any better, but right now they're good for the picking. So, and you look at Tech's playing Houston Baptist and and Tech's playing if you guys actually choose Louisiana Tech, you jump right to the head of the class on non-conference difficulty. Yeah. In fact, they've got a freshman quarterback from Pearland that I coached Little League. And,
oh really? Good.
Oh yeah, and he's pretty good. He's not ready to play Baylor right now, but he'll be good eventually for Louisiana Tech.
Well, can I confide in you that I've done no scouting yet on either Incarnate Word or Louisiana Tech, so that's still to come.
Here's what's terrible is, that Mike Gundy allows us to have access to opponent tape. And so so in the summer, I'll look at the non-conference. Well, I spent a lot of time watching Oregon State. And I mean, I just got to chalk that up to summer entertainment now. And it was not fulfilling, and I wanted to ask you along those lines, the pandemic, everything that's gone on, because it's not just slowed Baylor down, it's slowed everybody down in the area of pluses and minuses. The impact of the pandemic on preparation. Do you think it's even the field for Baylor, or has it just made it that much worse with a new head coach?
I think harder with the new staff, because everything is new. The players were just starting to get to know the new coaches and vice versa. And then you don't have spring, and then everybody's gone, and you have to do everything by Zoom. But I think they did as well as they could remotely. They did. Coach Aranda did an interesting thing. He had the different position coaches meet with different players not from their position. Like the linebackers coach would meet with the quarterbacks, and then they would rotate, to different positions. And I thought that was a really cool idea, and it was just so they could all get to know each other a little bit, both ways. The coaches know the players, and the players know the coaches. So that's one small thing that they did, during the spring and summer. But I think they've done everything they can, and they sure were glad to get back on the grass. That was last Friday when Baylor started practice. So they were glad to be back out there, and it seems like our guys are being pretty responsible. You can control what they do with their time at our building and on the practice field, but when they go home at night, you got to rely on them to be responsible. And it seems like they have been for the most part, so I hope that continues.
Yeah, you guys. I mean, not everybody has released records, and I actually consulted with somebody on the medical staff this morning, and right now Oklahoma State has no active COVID
Yeah,
19 cases within the football program. Um, but over the summer, I mean, has it? I know you probably, if you are privy to numbers, you're probably not privy to give them out. But has it? I think everybody's had some difficulty, and I think the July 4th holiday, other than
right,
Iowa
right.
State, and I know Matt. I know Matt kept all his kids in town, and he actually had a party for him at his place. But I think the July 4th was a little bit of a tug on everybody.
Yeah, that's true, and you can sort of understand that. I mean, it takes a lot of discipline, to either stay in or stay with your small group and not go out and do anything on a holiday like that. So I understand that the numbers have not been, terrible bad here. You probably see some of the numbers for the state of Texas, and they don't look good overall. But for the most part, we're in good shape. We've got a really good protocol plan in place, and like I said, the student athletes, not just football, but volleyball's here and soccer's here, and they seem like they're being very responsible and doing what they should be doing.
Well, I mean, I would think, and I'm not saying this lightly. I'm not saying this, frivolously, but I would think a school that has a religious affiliation, which Baylor does, Baptist Church, that now not every kid that Baylor recruits to play athletics is a Baptist, but you do have that core value of the church behind the school, and I would think that would help some. I just got to think it would help some.
Yeah, you would hope so. I mean, every school has its advantages, and maybe that's one for us. So hopefully you're right. Hopefully that does help.
You got to tell my friends, and I imagine you get around the football staff some, but Larry Fedora and Joe
Yeah,
Wickline,
yeah, man, we're
make
glad to
sure
have
you
those
tell
guys
them I
here. That's
said
fine.
hey. Yeah, and I would think you probably you go way back with Fedora.
Oh yeah, yeah. When he was here before, and Wickline was here before too. You
Hmm.
remember? So it's fun. It was funny. Larry, I guess I had more dealings with him.
Hmm.
So we were talking about old times and when he was here and how much Waco's changed, since he and Christy lived here. And then Joe, I passed him in the hall and I said hi. He didn't know me from Adam, man. He didn't, he didn't remember me at all from before. And but that's fine. Joe's had a few addresses, hasn't he? He's moved around a little bit.
He has, and let me tell you something. I don't know what he looks like now, but his son Kelby went to high school in Stillwater because that's
Oh
where
yeah,
he was when
okay.
Kelby was in high school. And Kelby initially went to the University of Houston and then transferred up to West Virginia when Joe was up there with Dana. And Kelby was starting for them last season, his senior year, and that graduated. Well, OSU played West Virginia in their last home game, so it was senior day.
Oh yeah,
So
okay.
Joe's out on the field when Kelby gets introduced, and I
Nice.
felt kind of bad. I felt kind of bad for Kelby because Wickline, he's at the end of the senior class. W,
Right.
he gets he gets introduced. Well, right after that last introduction, we're doing the coin toss, and so
Yeah.
I'm out there. I'm out there with. In fact, we had who's the official from Lufkin that retired this year? I just lost his name. Referee. Um,
Yeah. I don't remember.
anyway, so he's got the game. His crew's got the game. Well, I'm out there and Joe makes a beeline right after he shakes Kelby's hand. Says, "Okay, kid, go play good." He comes over to me at the
Yeah.
coin toss and bear hugs me.
Ah,
And
really?
Joe's got he had grown hair that was longer than Gundy's.
Oh my
I
gosh.
mean, oh yeah. So I'm assuming he's got his hair cut recently.
Y- yes,
Uh,
he has. Yes.
okay, because he looked like Nanook or he looked like a big old fur trader from the old west. I mean, he was just it was hilarious. He comes out and bear hugs me, and I hear Hunziker and Holcomb in my headset going, is that Wickline bear hugging you? My gosh. Yeah, I mean, the whole stadium's looking. I'm like, Joe, good to see you too.
That's great.
Oh,
That's
wow.
great. Yeah,
Well,
we're glad to have him here.
what did you think of your conference schedule?
Things shifted around a little bit,
Yes.
and it's in the end, everybody's going to play everybody. But we had a trip to West Virginia, November 21st or 22nd, and now that is early. It's like our second, I think, conference game, West Virginia. So weather-wise, that's a bit of a break. But the swap there is Oklahoma was early on our schedule, and now it's late. I think it's the last game for us
Last game,
against OU,
December
and that's
5th.
in Norman. So you guys come down here, so we're looking forward to that. And other than that, we open with Kansas. I mean, Kansas is the conference opener on the 26th, and that's at home. So I don't know, nothing big. We had a Thursday night game in Lubbock scheduled, and right now that's on a Saturday. So they said when TV starts plugging things in, it could change again. But right now, it's all Saturdays for us.
Yeah, it's all Saturdays for us too because we had a Black Friday the day after Thanksgiving game,
Oh yeah,
which would have been the last regular season game with Texas, which a lot of people were looking at and saying possibility that decides
sure.
maybe one of the teams that might be going to Arlington and that has been moved up on the schedule. Now the Longhorns come here on Halloween,
Yeah.
and I got news. I got news for Tom Herman. They were here on Halloween 2 years ago, and OSU threw out the Barry Sanders look, and
Oh
it wasn't a
yeah.
good night for wasn't a good night for
Yeah.
Texas. Halloween, our of course the crowds are going to be limited, so it's not going to be the same. But
True.
OSU's had pretty good luck at home on Halloween, so that game gets traded. Um, Bedlam got moved from October back down closer. I think it's the third to last game now, and it's in Norman. Like you said, we go to Waco earlier than we were going to a little bit, but we don't have to worry. I trust you guys aren't having homecoming this year because we're not here, and
Probably not. Yeah.
that's
Now
the
I
first
think
time
last I
homecoming
heard.
here. John, I
Yeah.
was just gonna say, first time homecoming at Oklahoma State has been canceled ever, I think, and
Oh
this was going to
wow.
be the
Yeah.
100th homecoming. So, wow!
Wow.
And you
Yeah.
guys do a big homecoming.
We do, and I think it'll be. I haven't heard that they've canceled it per se, but obviously things will be scaled way back.
Yeah, so kind of crazy there. All right, last thing, just the nuts and bolts of football. I'm trusting you haven't had anybody opt out, and I'm trusting you probably haven't had anybody hurt. I don't think anybody's done enough to get anybody really hurt yet. But you're feeling on, you got a returning quarterback. How healthy is he? That's I know a question mark a lot of us around the league have had, and then on defense, you got to fill a lot of slots.
Yeah, in a nutshell, that's it. We, as far as I know, have not had anybody opt out. We've not had anybody hurt through practice. The first week of practice. And Charlie Brewer is back for his senior season. That's a guy who's started since the middle of his freshman year, so he's got a lot of snaps. And he is healthy right now, and he's a guy that really wants to have a complete senior season. I mean, he wants to stay upright the entire season. And the offensive line, it's on them to make that happen for him. But some good playmakers returning offensively, only two starters back defensively. One of those is Terrell Bernard, who's preseason All Big 12 middle linebacker, and he is really, really good. So there'll be a lot of new starters there, but we've also got some guys that have played a lot. They just haven't started. But kind of the question would be, how the defense comes together. Ron Roberts is our new defensive coordinator, and how everything comes together with a new system, new coach, and 9 new starters defensively.
Well, it will be interesting, and I think everybody's interested in seeing how Dave Aranda does with his, promotion, head coaching there at Baylor after doing a sensational job of running the defense for Ed Orgeron at LSU. And once again, we will see you guys a little bit earlier. I think here's the crazy thing is OSU plays their first 2 games at home. And to
Okay.
think, and they're in September, obviously, 12th is the non conference, 26th is a conference opener, and West Virginia comes here for that. So to think about it, starting in October, OSU only has 3 more home games.
Oh
I
my
mean, that's
gosh.
kind of, well, I mean, that's just the way the schedule, falls. I
Sure.
mean, you
Yeah.
only play 5 at home, 5 on the road,
Right.
and but also when you think about the fact they're not going to be full, full stands and full crowds, that kind of changes it too. But and I do kind of like the open weeks a little bit. I know why they're in there. They're in there as much as anything to maybe make up some games if you have to or whatever. But um, the schedule will breathe a little bit this year for sure for all
Yep.
of us.
And that's good to
So
have that room in there to do that. I think there may be some movement, over the course of the year. Games that are scheduled on a particular date, when that comes around, may have to change. So it is good to have a little cushion in there with some of those open dates.
yeah, I'm glad the Big 12 voted in a sideline, or they're going to allow a sideline reporter. That was good to hear. And then Dave Hunziker, he's going to be our designated survivor. He is going to broadcast from a different location than John and the rest of us in order to make sure that if we all caught something the same day in the same stadium, Dave would be available to call the game the next week.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, interesting.
yeah, that's he flew that by Tom Borman up in Jeff City. That may be an option that may be made, if not mandated, it may be
Uh huh.
suggested by the higher ups. So
Interesting. Yeah, I'll watch for that.
I mean, just he'll be in the stadium, but he'll be in a different booth. I mean, we're gonna,
Okay.
so and I know they've talked about partitions in booths like they have in stores between you and the cashier. And
Right. Right.
I mean, I'm, I mean, would you wear a mask while you're broadcasting?
I hope not. I'll wear it,
Yeah, I hope
up
not either.
until the point when we go on the air, But I would hope not to have to talk through a mask.
Pretty sure everybody's headsets are going to be marked with their name, and they'll get the same
Oh
one
yeah,
every week.
we've already talked about that.
Yeah, okay.
I've got
All
my
right.
headset
Well,
and I'm using it, and nobody else.
yeah, I keep mine for everything I do. I use the same one
Yeah,
for radio show, for
yeah,
broadcast.
that's smart.
Yeah. So, hey, good to talk to you. Best to your family, and again, please tell President Livingstone thumbs up,
I
and
will.
tell Larry Fedora and Joe Wickline I said hey.
Will do. Yep,
All
will do.
right.
Hey, it's great to visit with you, and glad we have games to look forward to. We'll talk again down the road.
All right. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Robert. Appreciate
John.
it. See you.
All right. John Morris, voice of the Baylor Bears.